Albany football head coach Greg Gattuso joins us, sick on 365 Radio, 365 Sports. We spoke with you when the game was announced several months ago, and it's here. Here we go. It's the opening week of the season. Where are you, in your opinion, with your football team after the fall workouts?
Yeah, I think we're in good place. I think the biggest issue we had in the fall that we were concerned about has turned into a non-issue is just integrating new people into our program. You know, the transfer rules, the different people in and out. So we added we think a really good group of kids to our program. Lost some guys, but added. I think we came out in the plus side of the transfer portal, which is a good thing. But they've integrated really well. You'd never know there's a bunch of new guys on the team. So I feel good about it. They're sprinkled all through the two deep. We think that we have a pretty good football team for our CAA, and we're looking forward to, seeing how it all looks when we get down to Baylor.
The transfer portal, of course, that NIL, the realignment, all that's been out there for the last several months and really for a year now or so. When you look at the transfer portal, does everybody in the end kind of win if they really are paying attention?
I don't know. It's one of those things where, I kind of go into any of these rule changes. I've been doing this a long time, and I don't really let rule changes bother me. I just try to work as well as I can within them, and I feel like, our staff, with our limited resources, did a really good job of, replacing a couple really good players that we lost with some really good football players. But I think at the end of the day, we were able to add a lot of players that add quality depth, and I think that you can't do that with the freshman class. So how everybody's handling it, I don't know. I mean, sadly, I'm not able to take as many freshmen as I would normally want to take, but I kind of miss that. I like developing my own internal guys, but I think this has been a positive experience for us, and it's been, Jared Verse was our defensive end last year, all-conference player, just started for Florida State this past week. I'm really happy for him. I think he's kind of the poster child for what the transfer portal is supposed to be, but for a bunch of those hundreds and hundreds of kids that have lost scholarships or are sitting there with nowhere to go, my heart goes out to them because it's a tough process. So it's uneven, and I think the people with more resources have a little more advantage because they have deeper scouting departments, to be honest.
You have never shied away from playing good people, obviously opening up with tough people. This is a challenge with what Baylor is, what they were last year, and who they're supposed to be again. What is the juggling act of wanting to play somebody good, needing a game because that was also the case, and so did they, and then also how this helps your athletic department because of the fact you're playing an FBS school and you're going to get a nice check?
Yeah, I think we know at the FCS level that these games are critically what helps our budgets and helps our athletic departments. The pandemic was brutal in New York. Budgets were hit hard around the country, and, it seems sometimes we forget about, football's a game, and it's so serious to us and so important to us. But these budgets and the amount of money that the schools have is really impacted, and so it was a big deal here. We're recovering from that, but the money from our guarantee games is obviously very important for our program, not just our program, but for our athletic department. So we open arms. No, we're going to play them. I could have been talked out of playing Baylor if somebody would have gave me the, an option. But I know how good they are. I know what kind of football team they have. I've been watching a lot of them, and they're very well coached, and they're very talented and big and athletic. And I think, our kids see it as a challenge, and we're excited about getting there. But we also understand, that they're a top 10 team, and that's a big challenge for us.
Syracuse, Pittsburgh, North Dakota State, who's fantastic, as we all know, and what they've done with all the national championships. Is there any comparison with what you've seen from them and what you see with Baylor?
I think Baylor, Pitt, the year we played Pitt, they ended up winning the Coastal, and, Kenny Pickett, who was a first-round pick, was their quarterback. And, we played a pretty tough game most of the game with them. I think the biggest problem in these games, and again, I've been on both sides of these, having coached at Pitt and Maryland, the biggest problem you have coming up to play is not just being happy to be there and looking around, and next thing you know, you're down 14 or 21 points. That's the challenge. We've got to hit the ground running. we've got to show up in that first quarter and play well enough to keep the thing close. And, our goal is always to get a game to halftime, and that's a big order. But we're going to come out and execute our game plan, try to be who we are. When I look at Baylor, they have a lot of similarities probably to more of a Syracuse, but they certainly have a better football team than we saw last year at Syracuse, more talent, obviously a higher ranking, but similarities in the style of play and speed and athleticism. So, we see that. We think we're a better team than we were last year, and we're going to – that Syracuse game, though, the score got a little out of control at the end. We really going into the middle of the second quarter, we're competitive and playing hard. We just got caught by the big play bite, and they hit us like 3 straight times on big plays, and that's the danger. I know they're receiving core, a bunch of track athletes and can run, and we'll be as prepared as we can. But at the end of the day, we have to play our game, not turn the ball over, and try to get this thing into the second half.
You made the decision with your quarterback, the sophomore, and Reese Poffenbarger. Your thoughts about him?
Excited. I don't know that it's over yet. I think, like I've always believed, that you really literally have to have games under your belt before you can settle in on a quarterback. But coming out of camp, Reese has done everything we've asked him to do. Joey Carino and Tyler Sikowski are both quality quarterbacks that need to get out there and get some experience. So, we're going to start Reese, but the plan is to get those other guys in the game.
Greg, this is obviously a challenge, and one of the differences sometimes in the level of wherever you are is the offensive and defensive line, and that seems to be the strength of Baylor. When you watch them on film, and you've discussed them obviously with what they were last year and who they have coming back, with Ika and the line and the depth and the offensive line, I mean, do you just see something that's really very, very special?
Well, yeah, they're kind of different units in how they play. The defensive tackles are, obviously he's a massive human being. He's physical, he's athletic, and, we see the things he does really well. And they got a lot of size, on both sides. But the thing, they're powerful on defense. On offensive line, I've been struck by how well they're coached. I think, when you watch the way when they run the ball, which they do a great job of, the reason they're so successful, in my opinion, just watching them on tape, is the ability of the offensive line. They handle a lot of different looks. They're very coached. They're very structured in how they work their combos and their footwork and things like that. I just, they've been impressive to me on tape. And I've been a D-line coach a long time. My eyes always gravitate to that offensive line and see how they play. And they're a heck of a unit. But the defensive line obviously has massive issues for us to deal with, and we have some ideas of what we want to try to do, and we're going to try to execute them.
Have you talked to Dave Aranda at all since the game was announced?
No, I have not. I have not met Coach or have spoken to him. I have multiple friends that know him and have told me he's a really good person and a good guy. So that's about all I had to go on.
When you play this game, obviously you don't schedule a game. We mentioned, there's the check. I mean, you expect to go out and win. I know that's you. That's your style. So what do you tell your team? What are the expectations this weekend?
Well, sometimes people hear the things that I say and think that I'm conceding a game, and that's farthest thing from the truth. I have never walked on a football field in my entire life that there isn't a possible path to victory and how you have to play. And that's our job as coaches at Albany, is to try to find a way to put our players in the best positions we can do. And we failed badly last year at times as a staff, and I take that on my shoulders. I'm really disappointed that we didn't do a better job to help our team. But, I feel like, we're back on track. I think it's a tall order, but, we feel like we have some good players. We feel like we're going to give them some problems, and we're going to have to line up and execute our plays. The biggest thing I tell my team is you don't have to do anything spectacular to play with these guys. You got to line up and do your job. If the moment you start trying to do extra and you're trying to make a big play or you're doing all those things is when the big play gets you. And if we can stay on our feet on their zones and their cuts, and we can fit gaps properly and tackle well, and get a few turnovers, then you never know what can happen in a football game. You see it year round. Big upsets happen, and that's we got to go in. And the lines are a big issue, as you said, but the The area that's the biggest problem in these games sometimes is special teams. They have way more depth than us to run kids out there, and special teams are another big problem in these games that we have to show up and play well in to have any shot of getting this game into the second half.
You started out as a GA at Penn State. You've been at Duquesne as an assistant. Obviously had a great run there. What a record you had at Duquesne as well. In fact, Florida State just played them last week. Your time at Pittsburgh and Maryland and now Albany. Does the first week of the season ever change for you?
No, and I really took a lot of great pride in watching my Dukes go out and play against Florida State. If you knew where that program was back when we took it over, Brian Cleary was the AD at the time. That place was really a tough start. So it's really cool to see them go out and play that game. Congratulations to them and Coach Schmidt. But no, first games are nerve-wracking. Right now I'm worried about moving a football team. We're bringing some family with us. We're coming down a day early. We're really want to give our kids a really good experience. We've heard so many good things about Waco, and we're still waiting for Chip and Joanna to call us about stop and see us. But I'm starting to get nervous that they haven't reached out. We're trying, but other than that, it's a great first games like this are a great experience for our kids. They'll remember the game for a long time, and I'm just really fired up about getting down there and seeing the place and getting ready for this football game.
Hey, Greg, thank you for your time when the game was announced. Thanks for your time. Look forward to seeing you. Hope you get a chance to shake your hand this weekend, and good luck and safe travels.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Albany head football coach Greg Gattuso was Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.